同学。 同学。 sunshine. Exactly. Okay, there we go. Got it. Sorry for you guys online. I've been talking with the microphone off. I apologize. Yeah, so the town halls will be industry only. We, along with elected officials. So it'll be the representative co-hosting with CANM, and we'll invite county commissioners, or we've invited county commissioners and a couple of other elected officials from the area. And the goal is to make sure those elected officials are getting educated on what's important to cannabis business owners and those of us who also work in the industry, but B, so they can really start to have an appreciation for what their legislation and what the rules do to us as an industry, or what we have to work with. So we'll have that discussion. Hopefully something, I know something good to report out in the next meeting from that. April 29th, we're going to be in Hobbs doing something similar down at High Desert Relief. They're one of our great members and have offered their facility up for that down in Hobbs. So we'll be down there on the 29th doing something similar. You might have noticed earlier this week, I sent around two things. First was our monthly newsletter. I hope you all got that and looked at it and enjoyed it a little bit. But I also sent around an email for our policy committee. Our silver and gold members, if you so choose, you have an automatic seat on the founding policy committee for CANM. We've got green members too. If you want to be on the policy committee, I've sent out a how-to on how to upgrade your membership. But the email had basically what we consider an application for the policy committee on there. I'd love if you could complete that. That way we kind of know what we're working with and where we need to go with these meetings. When you fill that application out, we'll get the results. And we'll schedule our first meeting. I think we're looking at probably mid to late May for that. So we're gonna get that policy committee work kicked off very, very soon. That's kind of I'd call it the heart of what we're doing. The policy committee will basically formulate what we're going to be working on in the next legislative session. It's obviously given that we're working on the excise tax, but the committee will really make determinations on what they want to see the industry working on in the legislature. So just check your emails. If you didn't get that, let me know, and I'll make sure you will. And trust me, we'll definitely be reminding you to fill out that application as well. So, excuse me. So, we're here tonight to talk about packaging. I think everybody's heard kind of what's been going on around the state with CCD and packaging. So that's why we're all here tonight. Just to kind of recap where we've been and where we're going. During this most recent legislative session, House Bill 294 was introduced, and it was the Cannabis Packaging Changes Bill. The main portion of the bill, or the main, thrust of the legislation, was to change our packaging so it would be black and white only using a sans serif font, under the auspices of protecting children. Because the week before, there was an article in the Santa Fe New Mexican showing an increase in the number of calls that came into the Poison Control Center, one of our great partners at CANM. We looked at that and said, well, cannabis is an adult substance, only adults can buy it. So we agree in principle with the goals of the bill, but the actual legislation itself, we completely disagreed with. So we organized an effort up in Santa Fe to not only lobby behind the scenes and really have cannabis operators and those who work in the industry make calls and write emails to the legislators up there about this issue. But Don, myself, and his creative director, Jesh, put together our Save Cannabis New Mexico campaign, which is picking up a lot of momentum. We've raised money to we're right. We've got a donor for stash boxes, which we'll be rolling out soon, but that campaign rose out of this effort. On that Saturday morning up in Santa Fe, we ended up killing that legislation, which was everybody put in a great effort on that. What we're seeing now, though, is CCD is coming out and really, for lack of a better term, cracking down on packaging out here. They were told during the legislative session, and really rightfully so, that they weren't doing their jobs on the packaging. We had passed a law, New Mexico had passed a law 2 legislative sessions ago that outlawed the use of cartoons and celebrity likenesses. And the rule talks just a little bit, about child attractive packaging. So what CCD is doing now is going out and picking what they call the low-hanging fruit. And some of it definitely is low-hanging fruit. Truly, there's definitely packages with cartoons out there, packages that mimic products that children could get into. It could be an issue, sure, maybe. They're going after that, but we've also seen some packaging like Rice Krispie treats, for example, that have been on the package. Literally, the product that's inside the package get pulled from shelves. The problem with this is they're doing it all with guidance to the industry. They right now don't have any for us. They're just saying, you're out of compliance, this is a failure, make sure you pull the products, we'll come back and re-inspect in 30 days, as the normal process has. Okay. But how do we know as an industry what really works and what doesn't? That was a question. So I received a call from Todd Stevens, CCD director, last week, and we had a conversation about this. And I asked him, how do we know what's acceptable and what's not, other than applying the standard of you'll know it when you see it, which as business operators, we can't operate like that. We need consistency and we need clarity in the rules and regulations that we're operating under. They are actually putting together, I guess you could call it a town hall meeting in a few weeks with the superintendent and with Todd to talk about packaging standards for the industry. So in a couple of weeks, they're bringing us to the table to talk about what the standards are. Thankfully, we've been working on this issue now, so I've actually drafted a 10-point checklist that I'll be sending to CCD at the end of the week. And it's a checklist that the inspectors can use to determine if a package is child attractive or not. It sets some standards, not in rule, but it's a checklist that can be used by really the inspectors and by us in the industry too. So I'll send that at the end of this week, and then in a couple weeks, I would expect to hear more news about an invitation coming to come to the table and discuss these solutions. I asked Todd what he wanted his main message to be that I communicated to everyone tonight, and it is that they're not backing down, but they want us to come to the table and ask that we come with solutions, which we already have solutions on the table, so we're a couple of steps ahead of them on that game, but here we're going to end up meeting with them. In the meantime, I've got my friend Bobby Martinez here from Cielo Alto Strategies. Yes, big hand for Bobby. Let's have you turn your mic on there, Bobby. Bobby and I have been working together for quite a while now, right?
Yeah.
3 years, 4 years, something like that. Yeah. So Bobby has her own consulting firm now, and we've been talking about this packaging issue. If you follow our social media, Instagram, and if you don't, please do. It's NM_cannabis2 on Instagram. Please follow. We published this, and on your screens, I'll show you here in a minute, a decision tree. This tool will help you decide if your packaging is compliant or not. It leaves the decision in your hands. This was developed because we want to be able to come to the table as a self-regulating industry. Everybody says the industry needs to regulate itself. This is part of it. We put together tools and aids to help us determine if we're compliant under the law and under the rules. So this is a great first step. So Bobby, we want to give a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, so I think I know most of you guys in the room. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in the industry, since I got out of college, which my education is in controlled environment agriculture. So I started during the medical days working for local companies in the cultivation department, worked my way up through management, decided to test the waters in regulation, and so I decided to go work for the state in the Cannabis Control Division. I was the first hire for the compliance department, and then a few months I got promoted to compliance manager, where I helped oversee the initiation of the program, helped develop checklists, onboarded a lot of the compliance officers that are now out and about doing inspections to this day. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to understanding regulation and also understanding the inner workings of how rules come to be. Since the state, I have left to do consulting. I left to consult with Matt, who at the time...
We stole her from the state.
They did. I went to go work with Matt, which we were working under weeds at that time. I was there for a couple of years. Took a step back to have a baby, and then recently came back to kind of do my own thing and take on my own clients. So that's what I've been doing, and as you all have experienced over the last month or so with the quote-unquote crackdown of branding, I have got to see from a whole bunch of clients all across the state with various products be brought up as a concern, and so I have a pretty wide view into this issue. And then I've also talked to Todd at length, as well as multiple of the inspectors as well on the ground, to really understand not only what the letter of the law is, but what the spirit of the law is, and what their interpretation, or their current interpretation anyways, is as of today. And so with all of that information, I was able to put together this decision tree to hopefully help everybody out in the industry navigate this this challenging time. And yeah, so that's where we're at.
So just a little bit more discussion around this. You do have a kind of a wider view than a lot of people do this. What are you seeing a lot of packaging issues out there, or things that look like they're packaging issues, or what's the reality look like on the ground? Because I'm constantly getting calls from people that are upset and questioning, and rightfully so, and that's why we're here. But I'm curious what your kind of on the ground view of this really is.
Yeah. Every single one of my clients has had a failed inspection in the last month, specifically for branding. And with a lot of my clients, they're at the forefront of compliance. I see Lee over there. She raised her hand. She's a rock star when it comes to, going above and beyond and making sure compliance is at the forefront of all decisions. And so for a lot of the clients, this new interpretation of the rule comes as a shock. And so, from administration to administration, we've had a lot of turnover in the last few years, when it comes to directors and superintendents, and they all have their own interpretation of these rules. And so that is one thing that I do often have to remind my clients, is that these rules are oftentimes written very broadly, often on purpose, so that whoever is in charge can make their own determination, in regards to what they actually mean. And so, we're just really having to change gears and work within the administration we currently have.
That we currently have. So let's get into the seminar piece a little bit. So for those of you who brought packaging, Bobby is going to stick around for the networking portion, and for a small fee of $59, she can do a full packaging review with you to determine if your package looks compliant or not. If you didn't do it tonight, if you didn't bring packaging tonight, get Bobby's information, because she is doing these for clients, and this could be a very helpful thing if you do have packages that could be questionable, or even if you just want to review just to make sure you're safe. Bobby is very friendly, so you'll be all right there. So I'm going to pull up online our decision tree here, and Bobby's going to walk you through what this decision tree is and kind of how it operates and how it'll help your business.
Yeah. Is the decision tree. So this is kind of, I look at it as a two-step process. So the decision tree is really meant, for anybody at any level within your organization to be able to use. So your bud tender, your marketing people, people who develop your packaging. This is kind of, or your buyers, if you're bringing in third-party vendors with new products. This is really something that they can use that is meant to be somewhat simple. The second part is, which we'll get into in a moment after we go through the decision tree, is meant for quote-unquote questionable products. And so if you go through the decision tree and you're still like, I made it through, I think it works, but I'm still kind of on the fence, that's where the next step comes in. So let's go through the decision tree first, and then we'll jump into the scoreboard after. So step one, and again, a lot of these things are what the CCD would consider quote-unquote low-hanging fruit. So some of these things are obvious, but I don't think it's always obvious to everybody. And in this room, I think, we've all kind of gotten a crash course in the last 3 weeks of, what CCD considers low-hanging fruit or what they consider obvious. But, if you're having somebody, which I know a lot of people in this room, you can't do everything, you can't be everywhere, and so we need to be able to educate and train our team with some of these standards. And so we need to be able to create guidelines and references for the teammates so that they can have that same information when they're trying to do their job. So step one, is there any illustrated character? Human, animal, object, or creature? With a face, eyes, expression, or personality? Is the illustration made to look silly or funny? If yes, this is usually not compliant. If you're still unsure, move on to step two. Step one can be kind of confusing because there oftentimes can be illustrations that are acceptable or something that may at first glance be considered a cartoon but is deemed okay by CCD standards. So it's really important to really look at the illustration and again kind of use those points as a guide to determine if that cartoon is okay or not. Step two, is the design stylized to look cute or playful? So big eyes, rounded shapes, think kawaii or soft, friendly look, bright, fun, exaggerated features. So even if you have, let's say, strawberry shortcake flavored gummies, from my understanding, having a representation as far as like a strawberry shortcake image, that would be non-compliant. It would even be even more so non-compliant, especially if it's made to look kind of cutesy.
I think that's an important point because we've seen things like flight bites get pulled off the shelves. They've obviously got pictures of what the actual product is on the package, as many of us do. And at one point we were told, it's okay if it's a picture of the actual product. Well, they have gummy nerds, they've got Rice Krispie treats, they've got a bunch of other stuff that could potentially be like children's candy. It's on the package. So right there's a double standard because they're pulling these things, but at the same time saying that they're child attractive because it looks like something that a child could use. So double standard, that's where these standards that we're helping put together are going to come into play.
So if you answered yes, likely a cartoon/child reveal. If no, go on to step three. Does it use child-associated visual styles? So rainbow, overly bright color palettes, bubble letter, playful fonts, emoji-style graphics, or comic elements. This one I really had to think about because when I was originally communicated by CCD about bright colors, I'm like, well, adults really like bright colors. I like rainbow. But that is kind of where, what was communicated to me was that they're really drawing the line with color palettes, that are super bright, not muted, not really mature looking. And so that is one aspect. And one quick thing before I move on from this. Oftentimes, a lot of these elements that are somewhat child attractive, standing alone, it might not be a big deal, but when you pile multiple of these stylistic elements together, that often makes it look a lot more child appealing. So take that into consideration as well.
Well, I'll add to that a little bit too. The color palettes and the rainbow piece actually is drawn a little bit from FDA standards. The FDA has standards on hemp, hemp-derived products, and some of this has really lined up with those FDA standards. If and when we end up going federally legal, those standards will apply to us at that point. So it's a good idea to prepare for that now and really get used to more of these tighter standards. We've all seen the packages out there too that are child attractive, and we know who's doing this. So it's a little obvious in that side of things, but just keep in mind some of this is pulled and derived from close to what are the FDA standards.
And that's really great that you bring that up, Matt, because that's actually the sentiment that I also got from the CCD is that they are hoping to prepare the industry for when it does go federally legal. And so although these specifics aren't written into rule, this is also where CCD CCP is deriving a lot of their internal guidance, if you will.
All right, go back to that.
All right, step 4. So this one is super obvious. Does it resemble non-cannabis kid-friendly products like candy, snacks, etc.? Similar or copycat packaging layout or branding styles as popular snacks kid treats. So these examples that I had are not from any local businesses in New Mexico. These were ones that were just, you could pull up on Google, and oftentimes I see a lot of these like copycat or really extreme packaging from, no pun intended, but black market products. So,
illicit or traditional market.
Yeah, traditional. But yeah, so this one's super obvious. Again, going back to Matt's example on some of the flight bike products, which historically have been fine, where the CCP, and again, this is my interpretation of what they're communicating. If there is a photograph of the product that has very strong resemblance to other products, so is a product that they have the nerds very visible on the candy. What they're saying is if a child can see that candy on that photo, they're also considering that to be resembling a child-friendly product. So if you answered yes to that, obviously not compliant. If you answered no, continue on to step 5. So does the brand contain celebrity likeness? A drawing, a cartoon version of a celebrity, a lookalike, such as same hair, outfit, or signature style. A parody or imitation that's still recognizable. So this one, I do want to make a distinction that it is specific to child-appealing celebrities. So a good example of product that would actually be okay, that does have celebrities, is the Cheech and Chong product. Or what is the wrestler guy, or?
Well, there's Tyson. Yeah, there's Tyson brands.
So, although it does,
Death Row.
Yeah,
there's a couple of them.
There's a few of them out there that does have celebrity likeness, but historically those celebrities have never in any way marketed to children or minor audiences. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you answered no, if and when evaluating products, branding, and answering no throughout the decision tree, this product is most likely deemed safe and New Mexico compliant. The last and final step to ask yourself is, could this branding in any way be perceived as appealing to minors? If you are still unsure, reach out to leadership for another review of this product. And so this is where the scorecard is going to come into place. So for a lot of my clients, which are larger organizations, they'll have the buyers, do the evaluation, or the marketing guy do the mock-ups. But if it still needs to go to that next level, we can take it to a step further. Real quick before we move on, I also want to show you some examples of product that was communicated to me that are kind of the gold standard as far as what the CCP deems safe and what they're looking at as far as examples of good branding. And so compliant branding should feel like it belongs on an adult product category, such as wellness, skincare, supplements, or pharmacy, not candy, snacks, or toys. Color palette should be muted, neutral, with neutral tones, earth tones, black, white, gray, deep greens, or blues. Colors should be balanced and not overly bright or saturated. Typography should be simple, legible fonts such as some serif styles, which is what CCD is looking for. Text should be clean, structured, and easy to read without exaggerated or decorative elements. Imagery and graphics should be minimal and non-character based visuals. Acceptable elements can include abstract designs, subtle patterns, or botanical illustrations that are not stylized in a playful or animated way. So right off the bat, Todd specifically called out some products like Wana. For example, he said that anytime he's seen any of their branding, it looks very geared towards adult markets. Same thing with Elevated as well. Layout and composition, organized and uncluttered design with clear spacing and hierarchy. Information should be presented in a straightforward, professional manner without excessive visual elements. And so I did put a few examples there that you could reference. So please take a look at that. I also included, and when we talk after this presentation, I do have packets, so you guys are welcome to take some home if you'd like, free of charge. But I also included CCD guidance that they put out, I want to say maybe 2-3 years ago, which was actually really great. I think this was under Robbie. They put this together, which I thought this was fantastic. But there was, at the time, a lot of confusion on what a compliant label is, what could be in a QR code, what needs to be on the principal display panel. And so CCD put out this guidance, which, again, I think this is fantastic. So I included that as well. I'm not going to go over it in detail, but if you do have any questions or any confusion on how your compliant labels should be, please refer to those, since part of branding and finished product packaging inspections, they are going to cover labeling in depth. So please take that into consideration as well.
One thing I want to mention is, yes, they want to, take away fun characters and bright colors and stuff like that, but there's still, I think, the culture side that needs to be considered too, and that's one of the things we're going to keep fighting for, is to keep the culture in cannabis. We can't lose that just because we're a legal state now, and part of that is colors and fun characters and a lot of different things like that. So we're gonna walk the line, I think, on how we get this stuff put together. What do you have next? Is the scorecard? Let's go through the scorecard real quick, and then we'll come to questions at the end. Let me pull the scorecard up for folks online here. And by the way, for people online, we've got the decision tree on our Instagram, NM_cannabis2. I've also put it in the members only section of the website, so you have it there. And any of these tools tonight that we're going through will be on the website for members. So, Bobby, take us through your scorecard now.
Awesome. So if you or your employees go through the decision tree and at the end you're still on the fence about some of your products, this is where the scorecard is going to come into place. And so again, as a consultant, which I know that's like a dirty word, nobody likes consultants, but I do think this is where my expertise as a consultant does come into place. When there is ambiguity, when there is not guidance from the state or the authority, in this case CCD, you should look to somebody, Matt, Ms. Lee, who does have years of experience, who understands, how these decisions are made, how they're interpreting these rules. And so again, this is my effort at doing that and bridging the gap. And so trying to take something that's super subjective and make it objective. So I developed this scorecard, and actually, can you go over to the example one? Because I want to run through that one.
There you go.
So I actually just took a random product that I think is kind of right on the fence. It's like, I think it's compliant, but we still maybe have some question. So we're actually going to run through this together, and this is actually the scorecard that I'm going to utilize for anybody who would like me to evaluate their products. If you didn't bring any packaging today for me to evaluate here, I'll give you my business card, and we can definitely schedule time to do this. But anyways, just jumping right in. So this product is Pure Life Moon Butter. The product category is concentrate. And then there's some front and back examples of the actual product. So for category 1, cartoon. And this is based off of low risk to high risk. And so at the end of this scorecard, I don't think that it necessarily makes sense just to say, yes or no, because again, this is subjective, it's not black and white. I want to be able to give clients or you guys the opportunity to determine where does the risk lie. Is it low risk, is it moderate risk, or is it high risk? And then put the decision back into your hand to say, you know what, it's moderate risk, I'm willing to keep this on my shelf because rebranding this product is going to be crazy because I got 2 cases of packaging in the back. But at least you know where you stand as far as risk go. So jumping right in. Character cartoon. 0, low risk. No character, abstract design, or realistic illustrations. 1, moderate. A character that appears friendly but not exaggerated. 2, high risk. Character, cartoon, or mascot that is exaggerated, silly, or funny. So I gave this a 1 for moderate. It does have a character. It looks like it's AI developed, but it does not look exaggerated or silly. Color palette. 0, muted, neutral. 1, moderate color. 2, bright neon rainbow. Again, I gave this a 1 for moderate. It does have color, but it's not rainbow neon in your face. Typography. Clean, standard fonts. 0. 1, slightly stylized. 2, playful bubble comic. I gave this category a 1, again, because it does appear to be somewhat playful, mostly because of the bubble element. Product resemblance. 0, none. 1, subtle cues, slightly resembles to adult non-cannabis product is a 1. 2, resembles popular non-cannabis products such as candy, snacks, toys, and or other kid-friendly products. I gave that a 0. Child appealing style, none is a 0. 1, some playful elements. 2, whimsical or overstimulating. I did give this a 2 again because of the bubbles. Celebrity likeness, none is a 0. 1, ambiguous or adult-oriented figures. 2, resemble like. And this one is important and similar with the product resemblance. If you have a 2 for either of these 2 categories, automatically add 10 points, which basically will make this product just a no-go. So I used a 0 for that. Layout and composition. 0, organized. Busyness, but I didn't feel that it was overly loud. And so at the end of this, you're going to add all of your total up, which gave this product a score of 7, which landed us right gap in the middle of moderate risk. So my notes and risk explanation is due to the saturated color scheme paired with the character playing with bubbles, the branding poses a moderate risk to compliance. Although this branding isn't obviously geared to attracting minors, it potentially could be perceived in that way given the combination of all elements marked. My recommendation as far as action is slightly revise the packaging by removing the cowgirl imagery on the back and leaning further into the desert moon aesthetic from the front. If the cowgirl is a key element for branding, at minimum, remove the bubbles to reduce the playful, whimsical tone. Given existing inventory, maintaining current stock until sell-through presents moderate risk. Future packaging should be updated to better align with the spirit of CCD branding. And again, this is somewhat geared towards organizations that have hierarchies. And so as the person conducting this this overview, I did go ahead and print and sign my name, dated it, so that this could go further up the chain. In this case, this is probably going to be the owner's decision to make the final determination as far as what they actually want to do based off of my recommendation, and knowing where the risk analysis is.
This is still a very valuable tool, even if you're a single operator,
Right.
even if you're sole operator. I really like this because you're able to basically go in and self-score and say, hey, I'm looking good. And you can show that if CCD comes in to look at your packaging, you can show I've done the work on this. And this also could end up being a tool that CCD uses out in the field. We've been told, since there's no criteria, the inspectors literally have a group chat going on text, and they ask each other questions to see if it'll be compliant or not. So, we're regulating through group text now.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. This is also, for a few of my clients, they're actually using this as record to show, if they do get an NCA, out of the blue, or they do get enforcement on this, they have record to show, hey, we're actually doing everything we can based off of, what you guys are or aren't giving us, to show we're doing our part, we're doing everything we can, and we actually have a process in place for reviewing our own internal products or products that we're bringing in.
All right, we're going to go to questions. Veronica's got the iPad with the microphone, and I'm going to give her my mic so everybody in the room can hear. Bobby and I will share one here. Chat on YouTube, get your questions into the chat. We'll answer those as they come in, and we'll make sure to answer all the questions that pop up here in the room too. Questions? Back over here. Hold on just a sec. Let her get the mic to you, and then we'll get you set up.
Hello, Kenneth. You scored that particular project as moderate. Based on my interpretation, maybe just the only thing like the bubbles, it does not look geared towards any minors compared to what I've seen on the marketplace. Are they looking at something like that? Because then I do a lot of printing for probably about 80% of the short run people. So 90% of my clients are have a lot more going on, more cartoony. So if that's the standard, 90 of the people I know will have to change. Is that what they're looking at?
Yeah, so I've directly been told by inspectors that they are really looking at AI generated branding.
Okay.
Again, space analysis. So this is my take to say, hey, you could put this on your shelf. It may get flagged, it may not, but it is a moderate risk based off of these specific elements.
Can I add something to that real quick?
Yeah, who are making these decisions? Because to me, it doesn't look moderate at all.
Let me add something to that real quick. Remember, this is a self-guided tool. We're looking at risk mitigation, and compliance really is all about risk mitigation, because you want things to be compliant so you're not getting NCAs at the end of the day. So this is a self-guided tool. This is really a self-reflection on this package for a client. And I highly recommend that everybody does a package similar to this to make sure you are compliant. Just because it scores in the moderate level, it depends on your risk tolerance as a business owner.
My whole life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So there's going to be some people that are more willing to take a risk than others. So just keep in mind, what we're showing you tonight is what we hope to be kind of a baseline for what CCD will be looking at, hopefully using, but also as a self-reflection tool for your companies, so you're keeping yourselves out of hot water.
Can I show you this? I know you're charging, but this is a package of one of my clients. This is what is getting sold. I could present it to you guys. It's right here. And so this is what's being sold in the dispensaries. It has a compliance label in the back. It has the label in front. It's really muted. But I'll take it to you. Hey, I'm blind too. So this is one of my clients' package. It looks like a beautiful high-end package. The content inside is different, but that's what's being sold. So where does that send? So this is the dispensary. Open it up. Open it, yeah. So that has nothing to do. So that's what they're selling. The contents is going to be different inside. So I know that that's not client, but and that's going to be taken through the. That's what's being sold.
That's what they're going to see when they inspect.
So they're seeing this when they inspect, right?
Yep.
And are they doubling their package?
I guess
Or,
basically, can you hide it in another package?
So per the law, the person that's coming in that's 21 years old, they see this on the shelf and they purchase it. But the contents has the thing, and so if the parent takes it out and it's not locked up, so they receive that. But then you go to the what's coming in from out of state, all the child stuff, and so how could they regulate that? Does that make sense? And I told him, hey man, that does look cartoony to me. And so so anyways.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I think you would take issue with this, and they would actually still consider this finished product packaging, even though they put that in there.
But this is
Because I've even seen issues where product had been flagged for compliance for child attractiveness, and instead of rebranding or actually repackaging, they just the company just slapped the label over the, I guess, cartoon, if you will. And that wasn't a solution that CCD accepted.
Okay.
And so, trying to hide it, I guess, if you will, I think CCD would still have an issue with this.
It's not that he's hiding it. This is his brand. That's
It's the product.
That's the product.
Well, why is he double packaging?
Because this is the package.
Yeah, that's the outer package. That's
This
the
is
inner.
the package
Is it
with the
just because
label.
he was trying to get the label's too big
No,
for this, or
no. This is his packaging.
Yeah.
But that's the brand. So each branding has a sub brand. So this one probably has a moon butter.
Yeah.
The other one has ass butter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd have to.
But don't present that one.
No, right. But I think if this were, I don't think CCD is going to take the time to open it or, anything like that. But I think if someone were to, a competitor, which I see this all the time, take a snapshot of this and send it as like a complaint, or if somebody brought it to CCD's attention, I do think this would be something that they would not accept.
Okay.
Here, let me see that real quick. I'd highly recommend running the self-check on your internal packaging, because the external packages look great. I'd hate for someone to get busted on the internal packaging on a container of rosin or other extract. So I'd highly recommend that.
No, I understand that. It's just something
it is something that people are doing, and I think it is somewhat of a gray area. But I think we would have to dig into those and again see where the risk lies with that.
Other questions? John, you had. Let's go over to Don.
I just have a real general question. This checklist, is this based off our current CRA?
No, so this, just to clarify, so this scorecard is what I put together as a professional. This is me putting guidance together based off of what I'm seeing from all my clients, what the products that are getting flagged, my multiple conversations with CCD inspectors and Todd and Ian. And so with all of that, this is my understanding of what they're looking for. And so I wanted to put something, again, take something that's very subjective and make it objective. so that you guys can better understand where they're coming from and how they're looking at packaging when they're determining it.
Can they act outside of the CRA by law?
Technically, no, but the definitions of what is a cartoon or their authority over the rules or the interpretation of the rules, they can. They can, deem that something is non-compliant.
I'll add to that a little bit. I'll add to that piece a little bit too. Keep in mind that the CRA and the current rules we have are very vague at this point, and that's the reason that we're asking for additional guidance and checklists from CCD, so we can know what they're actually doing. And in lieu of that, I will say, yeah, this is based on the CRA and the rules, but only to the extent that basically they say no cartoons, no celebrity likenesses. I mean, that's really that's the only guidance that we have out of all the legal stuff.
Well, I'm just wondering, as a business owner, I'm wondering if they can legally just basically decide on their opinion of each individual regulator what's the law or not. And that's where I think a lot of this is really blowing my mind, a lot of the stories I'm hearing, because none of this is in the CRA. You know what I mean? And they're costing New Mexico business owners a lot of money. And I'm just wondering if they have the legal authority to be taking these things off the shelf under the current CRA, which we all have built our businesses around. The only standard that they have given us to build our businesses around. So that's just what's blowing my mind. And yeah, I wondered if the checklist. So the checklist is what I'm guessing is it's based off of what other states and kind of, overall what we think our rogue regulators are deciding, are upset about.
Yes. So what I explained to my clients is that this scorecard, if you will, is an interpretation of the spirit of the law, not the written law. And so this is my interpretation of what I believe is being communicated internally at CCD for what they're looking for.
And just so you know, I think your presentation is
great.
I think the checklist is great. I think it really allows operators and producers and manufacturers to kind of stop guessing what they're looking for and be like, okay, we think from gathered information that they're after these kinds of things, but that's not law. And I think going back to, costing companies hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, it needs to be written, and it needs to be something that they can hold up in court. And this is where it seems like a lot of the recent actions are some sort of like punitive kind of strike against the industry because their horribly written bill didn't go through. It wasn't anybody in the industry's fault it didn't go through. It's because they stood up in front of the state committee members and sounded like fools. So, you know what I mean? And so now I feel that they're taking a punitive kind of retaliatory action against the cannabis industry as a whole. And it's wild to hear the stories. And yeah, I mean, go into cartoons. Some of the most popular cartoons in the world right now are adult cartoons. Rick and Morty, Family Guy, The Simpsons. Those are all adult cartoons. Strict parents don't let their kids, watch that shit. And so, it kind of blows my mind where do you draw the colors, adult and children colors were wild. So that's my take on it.
No, I definitely see where the industry is coming from, and I have my own opinions on what I deem appropriate, not appropriate, but I try to approach things like this from a neutral standpoint.
Yeah.
I want to ultimately protect my clients from risk, but also try to understand, have been within the CCD where they're coming from as well. And so, I really wanted this to be more of a risk base because, I have clients who are coming to me saying, hey, I have, X amount of stock that can I use it, can I not? And I don't want to give them a yes or no because it is so subjective. But I want to give them my take on what I believe may or may not be a risk. And so I could put that decision back into their hand to say, hey, I think this is moderate risk. If you want to take that risk and, run through that packaging and then potentially rebrand, that's up to you. But I think, we have to make the best decisions we can given what we're seeing being enforced as a CC, not what we agree with.
Well, it seems like their biggest fear is the accidental child, the toddler that just sticks things off. What's child attractive at that level? I mean, little kids stick rocks in their mouth. I mean, the little kids eat shit. Like, what's child attractive at that point where you're if the true goal is accidental, children accidentally eating an edible. I mean, that comes back to childproof packaging and fucking parenting.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it could be rainbowed with fucking unicorn horns coming out of it and like making, ice cream truck music. If they can't get in the bag, it's yeah.
Don, I'll answer your question from earlier. The answer is no, they can't go outside of the law. No, they cannot go outside of the regulations. But the problem we're having right now is they haven't developed the standards for this. So we're operating without standards, so it looks like they're outside the law, and potentially could be in a lot of cases. I think there's been quite a few operators actually talking about a lawsuit because they don't have standards, and really you need a clearly articulable reason in order to pull something like that. Man, that's a tongue.
How many years are we into the program?
Today is the 4th year anniversary, April 1st.
So 4 years into the program, and they're just figuring out they need a standard for this.
They're just figuring out they need the standard, and thankfully we've done the work, so we're going to be able to plug that hole and make it industry driven. This is really when you'll hear me talk a lot about just professionalizing the industry, but being a regulated industry. This is what it boils down to: consultants and the trade association developing tools like this where we can plug these holes and provide guidance for operators when the regulatory agency isn't doing that, and we haven't seen them do that yet. So
thank you guys for your answer.
Yeah.
And can I say one
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say one last thing too. I think when using a tool such as this scorecard, I think it's to y'all's benefit to really come at this from a neutral standpoint and set aside, what we think should or shouldn't be. Because ultimately, as business owners or managers, a lot of this comes down to financials, right? And so when you have to reorder packaging or, sign another contract, look at it from a neutral standpoint and determine, is this going to put me at risk? Is this going to cost me money? If you want to come at it, on the defense and, lawyer up or whatever, that's a separate conversation. But I do think, there is something to be said to look at this from a neutral standpoint and then again determine how much risk or, not low risk you're willing to take in this area.
Risk mitigation. John back there?
Yeah, so pretty much I was kind of just wanting to back off of what Donnie was saying. We've been in this industry for 4 years now. I've never had to have, I couldn't have my employees without a safety data sheet, without an employee training sheet and like handbook, without the food and safety sheet as well too. So it's like how did overnight they just become complete like geniuses in the packaging sense, So it's like, where's their training sheet? Where's their like stuff saying that they're like actually informed on this and like going out and making the right decisions? Where for the past 4 years, they haven't been doing, and then overnight just changes. So it's kind of interesting. Like we've had to have all this information on our end and keep all of our employees like up to date on everything, but then overnight they can just change kind of what they're wanting to enforce. So that's kind of like where I think it's like, well, maybe they need some training and they need like a you know, a badge that's saying they're certified in packaging or something like that. So
Yeah, and
that's just kind of my opinion.
yeah, that's where actual standards come in too, because you can't really have training without standards to train on. I mean, you kind of need that piece to go along with it. Lee, you have a question?
Yeah, I
Right up here.
actually, oh, I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
Well, it's for online people.
Okay. So I actually just wanted to kind of tail off some of the issues. I don't have a question, but I just want to throw a few things out for you guys to think about. So, right. So they cannot, we're currently getting violations, but they can't cite us for a violation when those violations are not based on anything that has been written in rules. So going off of that, we have, you know, take for instance when we were under DOH, and DOH had a different THC symbol on the packaging. When they made those changes with CCD, they allowed us to have a grace period to get through all of that packaging. So they didn't just come out and just decide, no, not right. Like they give grace periods for people because they create thousands and thousands of packages and you can't just throw them out. It's
CCD's response to that is, we were going to give you 16 months in the bill to make these changes. Since the bill died, you've now got a colorblind cowboy enforcing the rules, and we're coming after these packages. Direct quote. So, yeah, point well made.
that's just saying. And then second of all, so we're retailers. We're one of the largest retailers here in New Mexico. And when CCD is citing us for a violation on manufacturing packaging, it is not up to a retailer to go to the manufacturers and police their manufacturing practices. So they are not reaching in our the two violations that we've received for packaging. They are acting on us policing the manufacturer rather than the actual regulatory body going after the manufacturing. So those are just some things that I would like people to think about. And, it's
Yes, I've been thinking about that a lot. Our board's been thinking about that a lot. I actually took that question to Todd last week and asked, why not just start with the manufacturers? You can actually shop online. Oh my God, there's e-commerce in cannabis. You can shop online and look, really gather your intelligence through what we call open source intelligence. You can look online and see which packages are. They did it during session. So I asked the question. Quite honestly, I wasn't satisfied with the answer. It was more like, we can't stop inspecting retail shops. We need to continue doing that, and I, of course, agree. But really, I think, and I'll come back to him next week with this, put together a special team of inspectors if you really want to do this, and go to the manufacturers instead of penalizing retailers right off the bat. That would be a much better and even-handed way of dealing with this issue to start. So all of this said, I am hopeful, and I do think that we'll have a decent outcome in a couple of weeks when we do meet with CCD and RLD leadership, especially bringing some of these tools to the table as solutions for what we're talking about. Other questions? Chat, if you have questions, please ask. We don't have any yet. Got one up here from our friend at Taos 420, Chris Munoz.
Everybody, Chris Munoz, Taos 420. I just kind of want to dovetail what Don was saying. First of all, 4 years now, congratulations. But what has led the CCD to make this now a determination on colors and everything? I mean, have there been overdose? Have kids died? I mean, what's transpired to get to this? And then he alluded to it in his closing statements. I mean, why do we have child-proof packaging? We spend a lot of money on child-proof packaging. I mean, if we're talking about little bitty kids, I mean, I'm a grown ass man, and some of the times I can't get into the damn packages. You know what I mean? But if we're talking about older, yeah, we're talking about older kids that know what cannabis is, wink, wink, 12, 13 years on, we all started smoking. You're going to get a damn pair of scissors or a knife or a razor blade to cut it open if you can't open it, right? So that's what I'm trying to figure out is, where does this stem from? We've been 4 years and I don't think anybody's died. No kids have died. So 4 years with no incidents. Where does this come from? Left field?
I'll say thousands of years with no cannabis deaths. You can't overdose on cannabis, even a child. Yeah, zero and counting.
There's no victims. There's no crime. So why are we going down this path? Is this somebody just trying to flex their, muscles? And then why are we spending all this money on child-proof packaging?
I might get myself in a little bit of trouble with CCD for saying this, but it is what it is. This is, to me, a knee-jerk reaction to a newspaper story that was published during the beginning of the legislative session, bottom line. The numbers don't really prove out what they're going after. They really don't, because what we're seeing is, and yeah, we don't want children to accidentally consume cannabis or ingest cannabis. That's why we have our Safe Cannabis New Mexico program that we're working on rolling out with all of the regulators involved, by the way. To me, this is very much a knee-jerk reaction to that. The numbers don't prove it out. Are we going to eventually get standards like the FDA has? Yeah. Would it be good to prepare the industry for that? Yes, absolutely. But so far, we've approached this, I think, the wrong way, because there was first a very punitive piece of legislation that was introduced. And second, we have these enforcement actions with no clear guidance behind them at all. So there's no reason we can't take our time, at least a little bit more time, to work through this and make sure we get it right, instead of penalizing business owners for a law and rules that have clearly gone unenforced for 2 years since the legislation was signed into law by this governor. Other questions? Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. Other questions? Chat questions? Don's got another one back here.
Well, and what's really confusing me is back to the reason they're doing this and the article that was published about calls to the poison control. What blows my mind is we've met with the poison control. Shout out to the poison control and the Department of Pharmacology. Absolutely wonderful people, educators, really cool people. And they gave us a different vibe. They want people to call. They told us that they are a medically trained organization funded by the state, and that they want people to call for advice on medical advice. And hey, I took something and I feel weird. And on the back of every edible and every compliant packaging, it has the poison control number. So it seems like we as a community, as a state, we have said, hey, we have this organization to help you, to not clog up the emergency rooms and to make sure, little Timmy doesn't die. And, they're there to give you advice, but then, hey, don't be fucking making too many calls to them, because then we're going to start changing laws. And it just seems really counterproductive. And like, one side is saying one thing and the other side is saying, no, we want to help. And yeah, they're almost mad because people called for help.
I see this as a legacy project too for some of the folks in the current administration. I think they feel like this is kind of their chance to really do something good in cannabis, and they see this as doing good. But if they want to do good, like, let's engage on it a little bit more and a little bit better, and not rush to really badly crafted bills with badly crafted solutions for what these issues. Let's take a more meaningful look at it and rely on things like our education campaign that we've put together. By the way, safecannabisnm.com, safecannabisnm.com. Make sure you visit. It's coming together really well, and truly, we're going to keep putting together solutions like this while we work through the actual regulatory process. I think we're going to end up seeing a rule come out of all of this, and with us at the table, we're going to help craft all of it. We don't want to be left out because we'll get really bad solutions like black and white packaging. So with that, Bobby, thank you for being here tonight. Thanks for your expertise. Yeah, big round of applause for Bobby. She is going to stick around during the networking and consumption part of this. So if you brought packages, please come up here. She's charging a low fee right now, which is awesome for our members. Don't forget, please, to check your emails. Those of you online too, check your emails. Make sure you got an email from me in there. Fill out that policy committee application so we can get you officially enrolled on the policy committee. If you're a green member and you want to be on that policy committee, please upgrade your membership so I can walk you through how to do that. We can set up some time, or I can just send you a link to do it. But any questions, please let me know. Thank you everyone for coming out. Stay tuned for our town halls coming up. The food truck's still back there. They've got amazing food. Grab yourself some munchies, come back in, grab a smoke here at Black Market Dispensary, and come back in and enjoy yourselves, guys. Thanks. We'll see you next month.